So folks, I'm going to try to do the mirror, the lights under the mirror, like a few have done on Spyder lovers. However, I got the mirror covers off, no problem. Everything just snaps apart if you're careful. What I couldn't figure out was how to get the mirror out of this. And I undid all these tabs, and I was able to get the back to move a little bit, but then would pull the mirror with it, and it seemed like the mirror and this back was attached. So I had no clue. No one had posted pictures. I assumed you could get this apart somehow. So I saw what looked like a screw down in here, and then I looked with a magnifying glass and realized it was the back side of a screw. I took a large drill bit and opened the hole a little bit just to be sure, make sure it wasn't like a security screw or something. So I just opened up the back and then I saw the screw. While pushing and pulling, what happened was I busted the unit. So the gimbal here, you can't see it because the screw's down inside there, but there's a screw down inside there with a plastic piece that was glued right here, and a screw with a spring that, what they do is they screw that in and then glue the mirror down, alright? So I actually broke mine. However, should be easy to fix. I will take that plastic piece and glue it back on, then I'll just get a longer screw, run it straight through the hole, and put a washer and a nut on the back, and that will fix my problem. Alright, I'm sure it will, as a matter of fact, but we'll see when I get there. Now, this should make getting the mirror off easier. What I plan on doing is I'm going to give it a try. So I'm going to see if I can get some dental floss under there, and then, like, using it as a saw, see if I can work the dental floss and get the glue loose without using heat gun and stuff. If not, at least now that I've got it out, I will use a heat gun. You can also get some access back here to the tape and glue. So now I'm going to go to work on that and let you know what worked for me on how to get this mirror off of here. Okay, I got it. What I did was, since I had the mirror out, this corner over here, this broad one, was the loosest, and I was able to pull the plastic back a little bit and then get this straight edge underneath the mirror a little bit, and then a good old Gooby Gone. Squirt it a little between the mirror and there and let it soak. Also, I had put some in these holes here and let it soak, and it did actually, as you can see, there's Gooby Gone oil everywhere in here. So let it soak for a little bit, got that straight edge under there, and then just started with the straight edge without flexing the mirror per se. I had the mirror flat in on my lap like this, and what I was doing is I was pulling back on the plastic, thus not flexing the mirror. And then with the straight edge, I just slowly did this, squirted a little more Gooby Gone, did this more, did this more, did this more. Once I got about halfway, then it was easier to get a little more Gooby Gone in there, and it took it off. Again, however, as I said, I broke my gimbal because this goes to get the glasses glued on after. So it should be fairly easy to fix. I will glue that square piece back on there, on the inside of the back here, and then I'm just going to run a longer screw, a nut, and bolt on the back, or nut, a longer bolt and a nut with a washer on the back of the gimbal, and then I'll be able to adjust it and tighten it up. I did not know that this did not come apart without taking the mirror off first. So I have to tell you, getting into this mirror without doing what I did, getting into this mirror without doing what I did, you can only tip it about that far to get this edge of the mirror. If you tip it this way, as you see, you can't really get under here. And this is the edge that I started with. As you see, there's no glue here. It was pretty easy to come off. But this edge here was glued well. By the way, the dental floss, I got it in there behind the mirror, and that was easy to get behind there, but it just wasn't strong enough to cut through that glue. It kept breaking on me. Maybe some really light steel fishing leader you could fish under there. Again, I was really able to get the dental floss behind the mirror no problem, just by tucking it in the crack and then feeding it down, but it just wasn't strong enough to cut through the foam. Anyway, so if you don't break your gimbal like I did, this is the only way to get at the mirror while it's in the body, which is a major pain in the neck. Again, just like people have posted, get under there a little bit, use some heat gun maybe, and the Gooby Gone seemed to work good for me. If you can get some, maybe squirt it in the crack and let it soak until you get a straight edge under there and it slowly start working. Again, a flexible straight edge help because you're not trying to flex that mirror, okay? Anyway, I'm going to get this one done and back together and see if I can get the mirror out of the other one without breaking the gimbal. Although if my idea works where I just run a nut and bolt all the way through, then no problem there either. Might be the easier way for you guys. I'll let you know when I get to the second mirror. Check it out, my gimbal fix worked. Like I said, I had broken, if you look in this cup, in this dome back here, there's a hole right in the center. And I wasn't sure what it was, so I just put a screwdriver on there and gave it one wrap, thinking, okay, maybe it's some pressed on thing for the gimbal. And of course, it broke that plastic piece off I showed you. So I just ran a long bolt with a washer and a nylock nut. And the beauty is, with this, you can adjust your mirror's tension by tightening or loosening that screw because there's a spring on it. So I just put this on temporarily. I'm going to actually clean up that metal dome cup, and because it had crud all over it, so it's making it kind of sticky. But like I said, you can adjust the tension on this now with this, which of course you could with the screw because it just screwed into plastic. And actually, this will make it easy to remove if ever I need to. So I may just do this to the other one just as a simple fix. Anyway, we'll see how it goes when I get to the other one. Okay, next up is, there's no way this is going on here and then you're just going to glue the mirror on top. It'll be sticking above the flange. Now, this is the way the LEDs go, but I'm just going to show you something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the optimal spot, and then I'm going to cut the plastic out so that this can come from behind and allow the glass to seat fully on back to the of the back. Pardon me. Now, one thing you have to be careful of here, and this is where I'm looking for clearances, is if we're going to cut this, we don't want to compromise this gimbal standoff here. So I think what I might have to do is grind a little bit off the tip of the board and possibly grind a little bit off the back here so that I can go around this gimbal standoff without breaking it. There is a little bit of room here before you see any copper traces that you could grind some of this off to give some relief. So when this goes on there, as you see, it won't fit even right now, although there's a little more space on this side. But getting this placed in here without compromising that gimbal standoff is going to be interesting, but I believe it can be done. Okay? So now to get to work doing that, basically I'm going to hold this here, I'm going to trace around the plastic, break out Mr. Dremel with a cutoff disc on it, and cut it out. So we'll come back and take a look. And there we have it. As you see, I cut out the cutout. Now, let me pop it out of there. Now, as you see, I cut that plastic right to the back of that standoff, but I left material on each side to keep it to have some strength there. All right. Also, you got to grind right to the edge here, and even then, as you see, I rounded the tip off this a little bit, and with a barrel sander, I just took a little bit off right through here to get it to fit. Only a little bit. It didn't take much at all. Again, we didn't compromise any traces on the board or solder point. So this one I rounded it and ground it right to the solder point, any excess board, and that got it to fit. So not my best cutting work, but that's going to do it. So there's one mirror, lights ready to go on. Still working on getting the glue off the mirror. But anyway, that's what you got to do to get those in. You can't just stick them to the back of the mirror once you get them off and then stick that on there and expect your mirror to fit low on the bezel again. Okay? All right? So that's where we're at so far. Okay, so other mirror, once again, got the covers off. I posted instructions on how to do that. Then what I did is you'll see a small hole here with a screw sticking, the thread part sticking up. I took what size drill bit is that? I think it's a number, one second. It's a number 1 drill bit. All right, and then all I did was, I just did it by hand, the plastic's soft. All I did was enlarge the hole here until I hit the back of that screw. And what that does is that weakens the plastic just a little bit. Then all I did is I just took something on the back of that screw and gave it one good wrap. And as you see, the gimbal broke off again. And as you saw with my nut and bolt through the back, works perfect. So this is the way I'm going to do the second mirror, because I was able to what I did is I just glued the little plastic standoff that broke off on the inside of here, right? There's a standoff that goes right on the inside of here that the screw for the gimbal goes into. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that back on it and then run a nut and bolt. The glue's not really doing anything. There's not that much plastic there, so the glue is just holding the thing in place when you run the nut and bolt back down. So that's how I'm doing mine. It'll certainly make it easier to take the mirror out again the next time, okay? So it worked for me. If you want to try to get the glass off while leaving that whole gimbal thing on there, feel free. It looked damn hard to me, and this is making it much easier for me to get the glass off the mirror by taking it out. Oh, wife's leaving. Anyway, so that's how I'm doing the second one. And I can easily pull the plastic on this corner back from the mirror and get a straight edge. Well, I can't do it with one hand, but I was easily able to pull that plastic back, and I'm not flexing the mirror doing it. I'm just, see, look at that. And I'm not flexing the mirror doing it, I'm just flexing the plastic. Alright, then once I held that back, squirt a little bit of Gooby Gone, let it sit, and then start with your straight edge down, starting from this corner, and work your way down the mirror. I'm not going to show doing that, but trust me, this is way easier than trying to get under that while it's still in the housing. So yes, I'm breaking the back of the mirror, but the nut and bolt and long screw absolutely fix that gimbal perfectly. Alright, so I'm going to take this mirror off and we'll continue on. Okay, it's getting late and the sun's making the video kind of shitty, but okay, I've got the long bolt through. I glued that plastic piece in, although I don't think you need to. I was able to do this before without, and the washer and the nut on the back. And you want to tighten it up so these won't bounce and move on their own, so you want them pretty stiff. That screw is spring loaded. There's a spring in there. So you can adjust and keep tightening until it's stiff, because you don't want a road bounce to move the mirrors. And I've got them pretty stiff to where that's about as far as I want to go. Anyway, the other thing is I don't know if maybe I've used too long a bolt and whether that's going to interfere when I reassemble. But if so, I'll just cut that off with a Dremel tool. We'll see when I reassemble. But anyway, they're in. And pretty simple there. I've got the wire out the back hole here, and I'll get it attached to the harness with the other light. And so that's basically this step, pretty much complete. Again, I broke the tab off inside to get the gimbal out, to get the whole mirror out, to get the mirror out. And of course, as you saw, I broke a damn mirror, but I gave you a simple way to replace it. Anyway, on to the next one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I went to Lowe's. Hold on, not Lowe's, Home Base. 1 second, pardon me. And I bought the same kind of 3M double-side sticky tape that they used. I'm pretty sure it's the same stuff. It sure seemed like it. I've used this on a lot of RC helicopters and stuff for holding gyros down. Bought that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a strip here, a triangular strip, a strip here to hold the mirror in the corner, and a couple of strips here and here to hold the mirror in. Certainly not the massive strip that BRP used. I don't think that's necessary. Some people said they just use silicone sealant to stick the mirror. Not sure I think that's tenacious enough, but everybody's got an opinion. Anyway, that's how I'm going to stick the mirror on. So you want to get this all bolted and adjusted before you stick the mirror on, because once the mirror is stuck on, you're back to the same issue. But at least we know how to replace the mirrors now. Anyway, on to the next one, and we will be complete. Quick update. I did buy 2 rolls of tape. This stuff was just a little too thick. It seemed like identically the same stuff, but to me, the mirror was sticking above the rim of this. So what I did is I went and got this. I also got this gray stuff, which, by the way, in my opinion, is better than the white stuff. At first, it's not as sticky, but you give it time. I use this on gyros and all kinds of stuff on RC helicopters. Anyway, so I have some experience with it. Anyway, get my mirror level. Anyway, so since this is the temporary mirror that I'm going to get recut, I only put a few pads on here just so it doesn't fall off while I'm riding. and then I should be able to get it off there easy. If I break it, I actually don't care. Also, this stuff is not as hard to unstick later, more like gum. So that's what I'm going to use on this right side on the temporary mirror. So you might want to try both, whatever works for you. Anyway, just an update. Okay, mirror turn signals are finally in, and they look pretty cool. And my wife really likes them. So only thing I will say on this, of all the jobs I've done on this bike, this was the biggest pain in the rear end. And to be honest, I don't know that I would recommend average Joe trying this. To get those mirrors off without popping the gimbal like I showed in my video is a real pain. You can only get under this edge. Trying to get under there to get that mirror off without breaking it, total pain. Can be done. But as you see in my video, I opted to, it looks like I got an LED out. Maybe not. Anyway, I opted to drill through that gimbal so I could take the whole mirror out and more free to work on it. Putting the nut and bolt back in worked perfectly. As you see, fully adjustable. I don't have my mirrors fully attached, but fully adjustable. I was able to adjust that nut and bolt so the mirrors won't move from vibration. So it's just the perfect tension. And you know, now you could actually, because I left the bolt sticking out with the nut, if I had to tighten it up, all I'd have to do is pop that top case, reach in there with a wrench and tighten that nut while holding on to the threads on the back side of the screw. So you should be able to tighten it up if you need to. Anyway, that's the way I did it. Everybody may not like the way I did it, and drilling that plastic out and breaking that standoff off and then gluing it back on, but the nut and bolt arrangement after doing that definitely works and no issues. So that's my installation. Again, I don't know that it was really worth it. They're not that bright. You certainly as a driver will know your signals are on now, so that's kind of helpful, but it's not that bright. And yeah, I don't know, you know, it's cool and all, but by the way, oops, sorry, car, by the way, the wife loves them. But I'll just let you know that for the amount of work, I'm not sure it's the payoff, just my personal opinion. But I'm done now. Still got to get my other mirror. I have it. I have that miscut mirror on there, but I'm going to take care of that on Monday. Okay, so this will close up on putting those on the Spyder.